James, welcome back to Halloween Daily. It is so great to see you, my friend.
It's great to be back, man. Always good to see you, Matt.
Oh, I have been looking forward to this. We were just saying that this is kind of becoming somewhat of an annual tradition for us, and starting back in early 2018 when we had our first conversation over the phone before we ever even met in person. And it was just a great conversation and turned into a great interview for HalloweenDailyNews.com. And now we've done that a few other times here on the video format. And now the last time we did one of these was exactly a year ago. It was Halloween week of 2021. Kills was in theaters, and now here we are a year later. Ends is in theaters, and this epic journey that you've been on, that we've been on, following you along, is at its conclusion, it seems anyway. So this is awesome, man, to have you here and to be talking about Michael Myers and Halloween Ends today.
Oh man, it's been an incredible ride, and to be honest with you, I haven't even been able to process it yet.
Yeah.
To me, it's still going. We're still doing interviews. The premiere was just just last week, and the feedback still is not in yet because some people still haven't seen it. Certainly a lot of people have. It was number one in the box office for a week. It also broke Peacock, also broke streaming records, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And people are going to have to see it multiple times. I think seeing it on the screen big screen is important. It's a big screen movie, but I also think that, seeing it on Peacock, watching it again and again, because David Gordon Green puts little Easter eggs in every one of these movies, and you're going to have to see it, more than once to get the full effect of this film. So I think as this process unwinds, I'll be able to sort of look back and see what it is we did. I'm still kind of like, yeah.
I hear you. And like you said, it has been just a little over a week that it's been out now. Let's go back a little bit, because this movie, it's very different than its predecessors, and it's got a lot of its own things going on. What was your first reaction when you read the script? When you first read the script and seeing that they're going to bring in a new character? And again, full spoiler warning here. If you haven't seen Ends, go watch it and then watch the interview. But we're going to assume everybody at this point watching the interview has seen the film. But with this Corey Cunningham character coming in, and kind of almost working with Michael Myers at a certain point in this, what was your first reaction reading this? Like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the movie, a lot of layers to it that I too think is going to be make it great for rewatchability. But what was your initial first reaction when reading it?
Well, I actually knew what was going to happen before even reading the script, because last year at the premiere, prior to the premiere, David called me and said that he would be introducing me to Rohan Campbell, and that basically he wanted to establish a mentor protege relationship then, so that and so we developed a relationship as friends, but I definitely mentored him in terms of the character and the depth of the character. Now I liken this to this process to playing on a football team, and the thing is, if you're a team member, if you're on a football team, if there's any chance at all of winning a championship, you've got to buy into the coach's program. And so when David told me what was going to happen, way back then, I look at it like this: is like, do I want more screen time? Yeah. If I'm a football player, I want more field time, man. I want more action. Sure. But trusting in David Gordon Green's vision is, what I've done for all three films, and very rightly so. And it's an honor to work with such a talented director. So, I knew what was going to happen, and basically for me, I go into mission mode. So knowing, by the time I got the script, and in fact, David and I talked about it, I didn't want to read early iterations of the script because I didn't want to cloud my mind with what could or should be. I waited until we got down to the last couple of edits, and then of course I'd see the rewrites as they came in. But I wanted to stay away from any preconceived notions of things that were going to change. So I waited until almost probably a month before we started shooting to actually sit down and read, which is God knows how many rewrites in. But you know, I just went, okay, great, man. We're taking chances. And what do you do when you're an artist? You got to take chances, man. And we did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It takes some big swings, and yeah, I think it's great for it. You know, we loved it. Sue and I, you know, we loved it. We saw it opening night here at our local theater, and yeah, I always like kind of the off brand films in this franchise sometimes anyway. Like I'm a big fan of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and there's some links to that in these movies. And but so that's fascinating to me that David introduced you to Rowan that early on. Was it at that premiere or right around that time, I guess?
Yeah, I met him at the premiere, actually.
Oh wow.
The premiere for Halloween Kills, actually met him at the after party, and we exchanged numbers and talked on the phone. And, you know, and so through this process, and then prior to the film, just like a week prior to shooting or so, he and I spent hours and hours together. And, you know, he's a very, very talented, talented actor and a really good athlete. So, you know, and there's a lot in there that you didn't see in this film. I mean, we had some brutal fights, and you know, I mean, you see a bit of it in the tunnel when he slams me down, but what you don't see is he lifted me up above his head and slammed me down.
Oh,
so we did 8 takes on that, man. It hurt. It hurt. And at one point, he's like, "What was that sound?" I was like, "Dude, that was my spine." But you know, he's and you know, and the thing is, I think the great thing is that the fans are debating, debating, which means they have passion. And we welcome that. And David knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Jamie knew it was going to happen. And we're like, bring it on, man. Let's talk about it.
Well, it like you said, a passionate fan base, and yeah, everybody, it sounds like, did know that it was going to be somewhat divisive and talked about. Again, found myself enjoying the Corey character much more than, I guess, as a fan I thought I would have going into it. You know what I mean? Like, because we didn't really know much. We just knew that he was in it and what the synopsis had set up. But I did find myself, you know, kind of along for the ride with that character, and then even this whole love story aspect of Allison and Corey, which, you know, we've never really seen that in this movie. And then, you know, Michael is like this presence. You know, we talked to one of the co-writers, Paul Logan, a few days ago, and he talked to us about how, you know, Michael, and I said this in my review of the film too, that, you know, yes, you know, you might not be on screen as much as in Kills, where it's, you know, ultimate Michael Myers slasher film, but Michael Myers is a presence in that movie in almost every frame. I mean, it's in the air, and that's what one of the things Paul talked to us about, that was a very conscious thing they kind of embedded in the script. But when we do find Michael and he's discovered, you know, it's this a more vulnerable version of Michael than maybe we've ever seen at the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about that and those early scenes? I mean, I was going to ask you about working with Rowan. I think his performance is amazing, and you've already spoken a little bit about that. And I love that you guys had this already kind of mentor relationship well before cameras started rolling. I mean, that's fascinating to me, and I think that's a great decision that David did, kind of hooking you guys up. And how symbolically awesome is that meeting at the Kills premiere? But anyway, could you talk a little bit about those early scenes in the cave? And there's especially this one moment in particular that I love in the film, that it's and I talked about it a little bit with Paul as well, and he said that it wasn't really scripted exactly, and it was really kind of you in the moment, where it's almost like Michael is, you know, it's during that, I think, your first kill in the film, and you're like kind of coming back to life, more or less, kind of breathing it in and then exhaling and then going to work. Can you talk a little bit about that sequence? Because that was just so epic for me.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was intentional. David and I had talked about that, and talking about how this kill was going to feed, and yes, you know, beginning in a somewhat emaciated state, in a somewhat you know, in a diminished capacity, after, you know, the infected and pussy and sick and weak, and and then, you know, but still strong enough to move, but just not, you know, not firing on all 12 cylinders. And you know, so that that scene we did two takes, like two different iterations. And the first, you know, the first was just letting me riff, which is what we ended up using. And then, you know, then we auditioned a few other things, but just letting that kind of fill my body, and, you know, feeling the electricity popping through my body. And that was all just very organic, you know, and sort of the way I carried my body prior to that, just slightly affected. But that, of course, was, you know, that of course was a diminished capacity. That was the infection. So then, you know, we kind of went from there to, as soon as the killing starts, then this is what feeds, you know, and you know, in truth, you know, killers will talk about that. I mean, the mafia guy who was my housemate for a while I wrote his life story, which we will never make into a movie, but it was a fascinating experience. He often talked about how killing people fed him. Like, he really enjoyed, and he would hold them and look in their eyes as the life left their body, and he fed off that. So, I mean, it's a very real, palpable reality. So it was definitely, everything we did was organic, but we, you know, David, and that's a wonderful thing about David Gordon Green, is he just trusts. You know, he just trusts. And yeah, it's cool stuff, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it was definitely a very powerful moment. And then there's that other very early moment when you and Rowan are, you know, have this looking deep into each other's eyes moment. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know a lot of fans are fascinated about, they have theories of what's going on in that moment, and I know you've always said that you don't intellectualize the character, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, there's a whole, you know, as people are talking about all this, there's the talk of transference and all this kind of stuff. But I think I'm still in the place where I'm not going to intellectualize what we did, because I'll give that time. I mean, I think it's more important that the fans conjecture and define it for themselves, because that's a part of the experience of these films. Is, you know, what is it each individual fan is experiencing in these moments from these characters, and then allowing them to debate and learn and grow in their process is a part of, you know, the design of these films. So, you know, ask me that in a year, man.
Oh, absolutely. During our next annual interview. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, definitely a powerful moment there. And then I love, another one of my favorite scenes or sequences in the whole film is when Michael and Corey, I guess it's kind of a tag team scene with the doctor and the nurse. And of course, it culminates in this awesome homage to the Bob kill in the original '78 film that we all love. Can you talk a little bit about filming that? Because that's definitely, I mean, we caught glimpses of it in the trailer, and I kind of had a feeling like, because there's a great shot as Michael's coming in over her shoulder on the phone, and a lot of callbacks to the '78 film, as all of these have done. But can you talk a little bit about filming that sequence? Because I know that's a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, man. Well, first of all, the Bob kill is my favorite kill. If I look at all the Halloween films ever made, the Bob kill hands down was my favorite kill, hands down. So, you know, doing that, but imbuing it with what happens to, you know, to the Shape after he's regained his strength, you know, keeping in mind that, you know, that the Shape in 1978 was a skinny little young man, a skinny boy, basically.
Yeah.
You know, now flash forward to, you know, his mid 60s, he's a powerful being. He's a big, powerful man. And so you can see the difference in the strength and the overall, you know, effectiveness of the kills. And so there's definitely a growth, and, you know, which on one hand is, and that's just, I mean, that's why David, you know, hired me. I mean, he specifically wanted someone who was, you know, an actor with really deep chops, a really good stuntman, but was 6'3", 200 pounds, and in his 60s. He wanted someone who was very authentically what this shape could be. And so I don't know. That was a lot of fun to shoot, and the stunt coordinator on this film, Kevin Scott, who was actually Aaron Armstrong's protege. Aaron Armstrong did a brilliant job as a stunt coordinator in Halloween Kills. Mm-hmm. He did a brilliant job playing the flashback shape. They looked at over 200 people to get someone to play that in Halloween Kills. Aaron ended up doing it because we share Aikido and Kali as some of the martial arts we practice, and there's a very specific way we move. Well, flash forward to Halloween Ends, Aaron came in as my stunt double. And now again, you can't get close on me, and I really didn't need to be doubled in anything on Halloween Ends, but there's a scene in the tunnel where we're fighting back and forth. I had to be in makeup. I had to be in special effects makeup. So Aaron took over that scene. He took over a couple of quick snips on the table, not because I couldn't do it, but because I couldn't be there. But because he knows how to move like me. Yeah. But more importantly, what Aaron did is he rehearsed all the fight scenes as me in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, because I don't have the time to figure out what to do. I don't have the time to sit there with the stunt coordinator and figure out this aspect and that aspect. So what they did was, spent days and weeks, probably months, working out all the elements. Yeah. And then that way, Aaron was capable of jumping in, but except for the only things he ended up on camera doing were that back and forth deep in the tunnel, and then a couple quick snips of the body, just the body on the table. But that the stunt we did with the replication of the Bob scene was complex. Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of stuff we had to do. Special effects had a lot of work to do on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering like how long like that sequence takes. Is that a day or a week, or like how for that whole Bob sequence, that Bob homage, I guess?
The Bob stuff was probably about 4 or 5 hours, because they had their ducks in a row. They had everything ready. They had all the special effects, wiring and lifting, and all the things that needed to happen. They had that all ready. So it's just a matter of capturing it. Yeah. And we're on a practical location, so we got a lot of different stuff done, that night, and it was a lot of fun.
And you mentioned that you and Rohan actually did have a kind of mentor to student relationship in a way, like Michael and Corey in a way, in real life. Can you tell us any of maybe some tidbits of the conversations you guys had, or any of the tips you might have given him in how to kind of tap into this, this element of the shape, or the darkness behind the shape, whatever it is?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We talked about on a superficial level, on a 3D level, the way I move as the shape, because I don't move like a normal human being, and there's a technique to that. Coming from my hara, which is 2 inches below the belly button, never straightening my legs and gliding the way you do in Aikido. And Aikido is very unique to that. It's a very unique art. Spiritually, Rohan has done a lot of exploration with plant medicine, as I have. So, so we really connected on that deep level of what happens to the human psyche and what happens to the spirit of a human when you explore those levels. And so we have that commonality between us, where we could share the places that I go to, so that he could discover that for himself, because the place he had to go to had to be his. It had to be his. Mm-hmm. But again, he's such a wonderfully talented artist, and I'm really, again, we established what appeared to be a mentor-protege relationship, but really, we've just become very, very good friends. And so, we're friends. Like Nick Castle and I are friends. I mean, we're friends. And so we chat on the phone, we text back and forth, and and we hang out, and drink too much together. So, you know, he's cool. He's a cool dude.
That is awesome. And yeah, and he definitely knocked it out of the park with his performance in this. And let's talk a little bit about the showdown fight between Michael and Laurie. I mean, you've worked now with legendary Jamie Lee Curtis, all three of these films. Michael and Laurie, they didn't really have contact in Kills, but you had these battles, and this is the one that they've been billing as the final chapter. The only one will walk away. Can you talk to us about shooting that fight, some of the challenges of that, and maybe some of your favorite parts of that?
Man, it was, first of all, it was brutal. It was brutal. We were, myself, Jamie and Jamie's stunt double, were all just bruised from shoulder to mid calf. I mean, we were just beat up from that. And Jamie, again, Jamie did just about everything. I mean, including the window smash. I mean, she just, she's just balls to the wall, man. She's game. So she's game on every minute. But I called her aside before we started shooting that scene, because it took days to shoot that sequence. And days. And so I called her over and we went off to the corner of the room, and I said, just walk me through the beats. And as she started walking, as we started walking through the beats of that finale, tears welled up in our eyes. And, it was very powerful, deeply, deeply emotional. And that emotion carried through the entire process. And at one point in between setups, sometimes it'll take an hour and a half to adjust the lights for a new setup or whatever. I laid on that table and she held my hand and we didn't speak, and she held my hand for like an hour. It was crazy. And it was like we just had this spiritual communication because we were both experiencing very much of the same thing, and it was very, very powerful.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And I know it's been very emotional for her. She's been doing a lot of interviews and talking about how emotional it is for her, and it seems like she's been out meeting fans and seeing how much fans have really taken to Laurie. And I've talked about it before that I feel like these three films, more than any others in the franchise, did lift the Laurie Strode character up and make her this almost equal to Michael Myers in a way that maybe she wasn't quite portrayed in the other films. And she's always been iconic to us, to all of us fans, and to the horror community. But it seems like now she's even more like iconic, just globally, as a warrior survivor. Can you talk a little bit about that, about these three films, which I kind of call the Strode trilogy? I think but it's so powerful to see Laurie Strode elevated up to this place. Can you talk a little bit about being a part of that particular iteration of the character?
Well, I think, first of all, it goes back to, it all starts at the top. It goes back to David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, and Jeff Radley, the three who wrote the 2018. Yeah. They established the gradient. They set the tone for what Laurie Strode was going to be for these three films. And I think it's really important that they made such a multidimensional character out of her, like a real human being. Someone dealing with addiction, someone dealing with family issues, someone dealing with trauma. I mean, these are issues in 2018 that were, like, you really don't get to see that in depth in characters, in many films, let alone horror films. I mean, oftentimes these characters are very one-dimensional, and they made a very multi-dimensional character out of Laurie Strode, and which I think was important because, I mean, for Jamie, she's been sober 22 years now. So, we had conversations in 2018 about her sobriety, and conversations about trauma and mental illness, and so I think it was so powerful that they put her in that place, and then as they examined in Halloween Kills mob mentality, which was so prescient. It was well before January 6th, when we shot that, well before, but it was so prescient, that that they would examine, the pathology of mob mentality, and that she sort of took a back seat to that during Halloween Kills, only to come into Halloween Ends full force. And this is the culmination of her character. And I think it's really important, because that when we did the finale, we both were in a really, really deep place of release, of acquiescence. So the question was that, as we were filming, is who's really going to die here, and who's going to just give up? Because in a way, the pain and the torture and the darkness is imbued in both of us as characters, and in both of us as human beings, because we're actors carrying these characters. So the release of that scene is just so powerful for both of us, not only as actors, but as human beings.
Oh man. And I mean, it's definitely a powerful scene to watch and to experience on the screen, and to hear that you guys were having those very real emotions on set too is awesome. What was your final scene? Do you remember the final scene you shot as the Shape?
Well, we did reshoots. So so we went in for a week. We reshot the ending. So the ending you see didn't exist. There was another ending, which actually Jamie and I felt was probably more spiritually aligned with what we had gone through. But it's you have to. They did a test screening, and you got to pay attention to the audience. And frankly, the ending you see was an ending that was originally written, but Blumhouse didn't want to pay for it. And this is very typical of production in studios, is they don't want to pay for things, and then when it doesn't turn out the way you exactly want it to, you have to go back and pay for it anyhow. And so they went back and shot it. And it's common. This is not unusual. This is not unusual at all. And so went back, and so the very last things I shot were the very ending. And and so it was and Jamie and I, when they wrapped us out that night, they wrapped her, and then they wrapped me. And when they wrapped her, she gave David a big hug, and then she gave me a big hug, and we just held each other for at least a couple minutes, just held each other. And then I got the same response when they wrapped me. It was bittersweet. We were exhausted. We were emotionally spent, but yeah, it was powerful.
Oh man, it sounds like it, and that was actually y'all's final scene together too. That's so amazing. I know fans will want me to ask, is there anything you could tell us about that original ending? I mean, I'm hoping they'll probably release it in some way, like deleted scenes on the Blu-ray or something, maybe one day.
I wonder. I heard they will. I've heard people talking about. I don't know that I would share that right now.
Okay.
I don't know who has shared it or if it's been shared, and so I'd rather not spoil that. For instance, the ending we shot in 2018, David chose not to put on Blu-ray, and he told me, is like, we'll just keep it for us, and so he may or he may not release the alternate ending, which I think is very, very powerful and subtle, but this ending was gratifying to a lot of fans, and so again, maybe there's something we'll talk about in a year.
Nice. And yeah, that's totally cool. Like you said, the 2018 is still that's never been released as a bonus feature, but maybe maybe an anniversary edition re-release or something will be down the road, and then we can talk about it. Another question, I know you're probably going to get asked everywhere, but our audience definitely wants me to ask, what is your favorite kill?
In Ends or in the trilogy?
Well, let's do both. How about that?
I think let's start with 2018. The window kill is my favorite because that's the way I would kill somebody myself.
Okay.
But the bathroom kills are extraordinarily violent. So I have to share kills on those two kills on Halloween 2018. On Halloween Kills, the Cameron kill. I mean, there's a bunch of wonderful kills in 2018, but the Cameron kill, for me is just wonderful and brutal. On ends, I really have to say, I probably have to say the replication of the Bob kill, because the Bob kill is my favorite, and because it was so just beautifully powerful, and the emotion and power of that, of everything that we led up to. So yeah, I'd say, and then my favorite overall, I'd probably go with the Bob kill, just because the Bob kill is my favorite. So the Bob kill replica is my favorite. Yeah. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, man.
Awesome. I love it. And it's already so iconic. I know you, and I know that you always take something from all of your experiences. And I know when I reread our very first interview from 2018 this morning before we talked today, and you talked then, and it was very apparent that everything you had done and experienced up to that point had led to this moment. And just knowing you carry things, and it becomes another tool in your tool belt. So can you tell us something that you're carrying with you from this experience, playing Michael Myers, playing the Shape in these 3 films, that you didn't have in that tool belt prior to 2018?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, an experience like this expands you. You know what I mean? So the expansive place that I had to go to play this character, so it stretches and morphs and moves, and internally. So it's an emotional, spiritual experience. But it has definitely expanded my awareness of myself as a human being, as an actor. It's expanded my capacity for intuitive interaction with fellow creatives, especially working with David and Jamie, two highly intuitive, highly gifted talents. So I would just say that it's made me richer. It's made me richer as a human being, and richer as an actor, for sure. The action wise, stunt wise, there's nothing I did in this movie that I haven't done before in one way, shape, or another. But I got the opportunity to do it in 3 movies and do a lot of it, and it was just it's so gratifying to be, in my 60s. I'm 65 now. I'll be 66 January. I mean, my friends tell me I don't look a day over 90, but to hell with them. It's like it's gratifying to be at this age and be in this physical condition, and to be able to do the work that I did physically, and to know that maybe some other guys who are in their 50s or 60s will look at it and go, well, really, I don't have an excuse. Maybe I just need to get my butt in the gym and stay strong, and be strong when I'm 70, and be strong when I'm 80, and be strong when I'm 90, because there are guys still doing it, and guys and girls, so men and women. So I think that's part of it too, is people have taken notice of that. And so maybe if by experiencing this, I can be something of an inspiration to people to get off the couch and get in the gym, or take the dog for an extra walk, or whatever. So there's a lot that it's given me.
Oh man, and I love that. That this experience is inspiring other people, and inspiring you to continue to inspire other people, and that you're seeing that and getting that feedback from it. This might be part of the answer to the next question, but I wanted to know, what has been the most surprising thing that you have gotten from this, that again, prior to 2018, you just wouldn't have seen that coming, or even stepping into the Shape, knowing once you got that role in 2018 when we did that first interview, but the movie hadn't been released yet, the other 2 hadn't been made. What's been the most surprising thing to you about this whole experience?
Well, when I was in Pasadena, my very first con, the 40th anniversary, someone asked me if they had prepared me for the onslaught of fans, people waiting in line for hours to get autographs and to meet them. And my answer was, yeah, they prepared me for the number of fans who were going to approach me, but what they didn't prepare me for was the love. the love of the fans and the interaction of the love with each fan that I get to meet. So even though I only get to spend a few moments with each fan as they stand up in line and you know, and I sign an autograph and take a selfie, it's very genuine and real. We look in each other's eyes and we share a moment together, even though it's brief, it's genuine. And so, and there's so much love, just so much love. You know, the opportunity to receive that kind of love is amazing. The opportunity to give that kind of love is, and so it's this beautiful circle of love. And it's like, I characterize it as little drops of love all day long when I go to a convention and meet, or, you know, when I do interviews. I mean, it's just, it's all about love. And, you know, it's so gratifying and fulfilling. And, you know, I would wish that every human being could have this experience, because it's overwhelming, really, how beautiful it is.
Oh man, well, I love that, and yeah, I was one of those fans at that 2018 convention. That's actually when we first met face to face, and we've seen you and been around you at other conventions since then, and I've seen the fan interaction that you have firsthand, and I've talked to some of those fans firsthand, and I know that what you're saying is real, and I know that that is a mutual thing, because they all, you know, everybody we've talked to echoes what Sue and I know about you, is that, yeah, this is a genuine guy with that, you know, actually cares and is very present and is here and appreciative. And I knew from our first conversation, before we ever actually met in person, but I knew just from talking to you on the phone that first day, I was like, man, I've interviewed a lot of the people that play Michael Myers, but this is going to be something special and something unique here. I think I think this guy's approaching it from a different angle, and it's going to be exciting for fans. And you have proven those thoughts to be correct, and over the last 4 years in these 3 films, man. So it has been awesome to watch. What's next though? What's on the horizon for James Jude Courtney now?
Well, I've got films that you know, that I've written, and we're knee deep with investors right now, and you know, taking meetings, and so I can't talk about them until I've also got a television show that is in the works, and until I'm given the let go to okay to release on IMDb, I have to keep it under wraps. But as soon as I get that go ahead, I'll let it go on social media and let people know what I'm doing. But I have one is a horror film, and one is an inspirational coming of age story, and then the TV thing I won't say anything about. But it's cool stuff, man. I'm gonna have a busy couple of years ahead of me.
Oh man, well, that definitely sounds exciting, and we'll be among your fans here, looking forward to whatever's next. And you know, I know it's Halloween ends, and it appears that Michael Myers is dead. But if in a year or 5 years, or you got a call from Malika Akkad, and they were like, we want you to put the mask on again, what would your reaction be?
Well, I am approaching it from the point of view that I'm done, that this is, you know, this is it for me. You know, I'm not a young actor hoping, you know, living on hopes and dreams, as, you know, many young actors or athletes or whoever. I mean, we all do this, especially when we're young and we're aspiring. What I've learned in life is what's mine comes to me. So, you know, and as a very wise friend of mine once said, be the flame, not the moth. So for me, I'm satisfied and grateful that I had this experience, and now I'm putting it down. I'm putting it to bed. I'd say never, but to have the level of artistry involved with a reboot, or I mean, there's a million ways, you know, Malik could bring it back. But you know, I think Malik's going to wait a while too. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's, you know, Malik and Ryan Freeman over there at Trancas. I mean, they're smart guys. You know, they're smart guys. So who knows? I mean, who knows, man? Maybe if they add a couple of zeros to my paycheck, I'll you know,
there you go. Yeah,
zeros are good. Zeros are good.
I think it'd be totally worth it. Yep, worth every one of those zeros, man. Well, dude, I know you are so busy right now and very in demand. So again, I cannot thank you enough for chilling with us and just spending this time and talking about this epic journey that we've watched as fans and that you've experienced. And I know it's not over. I know it's going to continue. So I'm already looking forward to our next conversation. We'll definitely do it. Well, we'll do it next year, if not before then. How about that? We'll make it our annual Halloween tradition, man. And look forward to seeing you at one of those conventions soon, as we do pretty regular now. So I can't wait to see you at the next one.
Yeah, man, they're fun. And the thing is I've done as many as I could fit in this year, because if I'm in the middle of making a film, I just can't do it. I can't. So there's a very good chance that you know, next year and the year after, whatever, might be very sparse in terms of conventions and being able to meet, you know, being able to meet the fans. So I definitely want to take advantage of it, you know, when I can, and I'll go out of my way to do that. But you know, we'll just have to take each month and year as it comes.
Awesome. Words to live by, right there. I love it. More words of wisdom from our buddy James Jude Courtney. Well, man, again, I can't thank you enough for this. This has been amazing. I know our audience is really going to appreciate you taking the time. It's a real treat for us to have you here, and we have just loved everything you've done as this character, bringing Michael back to life, embodying the shape in ways that we've just never seen before, and we just love it. And so again, hats off and congrats on everything.
Thanks, man. It's been a great run. It's been great that, you know, I've had the opportunity to start at the very beginning with, you know, my first article about Halloween with you, and then, you know, to come full circle to the end of the trilogy, and you know, let's see what the future holds, man. But it's been a great ride.
It definitely has. It's been a hell of a great ride.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm gonna let you go, but as always, have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Absolutely, man.